Right, well, it's a beautiful day, windy perhaps. I'll just sit in the Volvo for a second. Actually, I've just been out in this Volvo. I've started driving it again now. I suppose I got over the fact that I think it's going to die on me all of a sudden. So it's the weekend here, no one's working. Pity really, because it's a lovely day. And there's the old diggers just sitting there waiting. This area now we've levelled off, and there's all this crushed concrete and hardcore whatever going down as a sort of temporary base here, because this area here we're going to have to use for parking cars now. Anyway, I decided that it's such a nice day and it's drying out a bit. I'm going to take my Jag out for a bit of a drive. So let's have a look. Right, so here we are. One Jag. And I'm going to take my coat off and we'll take it out. This is probably the first time that I've really taken it for a drive since it had its service and everything last month. Let's see how it goes. Right, so let's start it up. Would you believe it? A flat battery. Oh, I don't believe it. A flat battery. All sorts of things clicking and whirring, but nothing starting. So that's a blow. Now I've got a 12 volt battery booster starter. I wonder if that'll work. Let's try that. I can't even remember where the battery is in this car. It's got to be in the boot, eh? Well, that makes life slightly more complicated, perhaps. It must be in the boot. Right. Right, well here's the battery, and this is the battery booster that I've had, and in fact, let's open it up a minute. Put that there. I had it, I charged it up and had it in the oven time. Now, I have used it once before. Difficult to get out of here. And what it does, it's good for one or two starts. You can use it for other things, obviously. It's quite good. Now, where the hell does all that go? I see, yeah. Right, so there's a connector here which fits into this. It's quite neat, actually. There's the one on the left there has got a flat piece to it. That matches up there, so that way you get the live on the right connector. So we'll just connect that up. Right, so that's connected up. Now the first thing that we're going to find is that probably, just about reach. So I think what we do is we turn this, connect it up and turn it on. To turn it on we have to push this button, I suspect. So let's clear the decks a bit. Right, so we've got that turned on and we've got that connected. Let's see whether that's putting any power in. See what happens now. Nope. No, that's still dead. Right, let's make sure we've got it turned on. Well, the connections seem to be okay. That's turned on and it shows that it's got a full charge. So if it doesn't work, all I can say is it doesn't give us enough power to do anything with this, which is a bit odd. Let it sit there for a minute, maybe it'll discharge a bit into the battery. But then on the other hand, I'm a bit impatient, so let's see. Nope. That is not going to work. So we're going to go back to the basic business of just getting a battery off another car. So I think the Aventine is going to have to come to the rescue. Right, well, the reason I use the Aventine actually is because the Volvo, the battery on the Volvo, which was not too far away, is in the boot, and this one is just more accessible, this battery, so it's easier to get it connected up here. So because this battery just lifted up and there's no bits and pieces to take away to find it, because the Volvo you've got to take half the boot out and all the dog cage I've got and everything, so that's useless. So this one I just anyway, let's get this connected up, see what happens. Right, so that's all connected. Let's start the Aventine. Right, we've got the Aventine running.
It does like its waypoint.
Radios, huh?
Yeah.
Right, so let's hope that the Renault is putting some power into the Jag. I was going to take this up for a nice run to actually to give the battery a bit of a charge, and now it looks like I will have to give it a bit of a charge. Anyway, let's see if it'll do. I mean, there was, at least the battery wasn't completely dead. Actually, the fans were working on this Jag. But of course, I haven't used this car much, though it did have quite a big drive a month ago when it went to the garage to have a service. They took it away, and that was probably 50-mile round trip, I suppose. But to be fair, it's been sitting around for about 3 months. My patience is wearing out. I think I'm going to try it. No, it's dead as anything. Well, that's not good, is it? Nothing at all. Right, so I have to go back to the drawing board and think what I'm doing here. Wrong. The connection can't be right, surely. Must be something. The fans are working, aren't they? Interesting. Well, I've been revving the Aventine up for a little bit, and the connections seem to be fine. Maybe not. Let's have a look. Try that again. No. That's not good, because there is absolutely no power whatsoever going in there. I really don't understand that. Right, well, I've decided to take a pragmatic view of this Jaguar. Hello, dog. I've been a member of the AA here for since 1987, and I think I've only used them about twice in all those years, and yet we pay every year for them. So I've decided to ring them up because we have also pay extra for home start. And as I'm at home and the car won't start, I've decided, well, I'll ring the AA and let them sort it out. I don't particularly want to do any damage to the electrics by incorrectly starting it, so I can't seem to get it to start. Not too sure what I've done or not doing correct, so we'll find out. And wait and see what the AA guy's got to say. Meanwhile, right, so the AA should be here shortly. I think what I better do is to get the boot open. Because, whoops, now the problem I've just realised is, obviously there's an answer to it, but when the Renault actually, its battery went dead, I couldn't even open the boot up. Now that button, Eddie, let's have a look. Yeah, there's no key there, you know. So all there is, to get the boot open, you have to push that button. Now when the battery's in the boot, so if the car goes dead, with a dead battery, there must be another way of opening that boot, obviously. But if you've left, as I have, all the manual and everything in the boot as well, you wouldn't be able to figure it out. I think I should look into this one. I'm not too sure how you would get into the boot. Let's have a look. So there's no key, or is there a key? Ah, hang on. Is that a key? Maybe that's a key there. Let's have a look, see if it works. Right, so there's only one key with the car. Is that actually a keyhole? Don't think it is. Oh, yes it is. Yes. That's it. Ah, right. So, that's okay. Well, I've learned that lesson now. So, you can actually get in the boot with the key. Right, so, what I've decided to do, all the mess around here, while I'm waiting for the AA man, I'm going to start my Mercedes up. Right, I'm going to let it run for a bit for two reasons. One, give this battery a bit of a charge, because I've got enough problem with the Aventine and the jack. And also, I'll be in the warm while I'm waiting for the AA man. You should be here in the next 20 minutes or so. So I'll just sit down and have a rest in this car. Right, well, this is just a peaceful 10 minutes now. I'll listen to the radio and sit in the warm and give the car a bit of a charge up. Right, well, I'm still waiting for the AA. My wife's arrived home here. Her car's alright. The interesting thing about the AA is that, you know, you ring a number and, first of all, there again, you have to push 3 or 4 different buttons, numbers, before you get through to somebody. And then, actually, it isn't somebody, it's another lecture that you're given about. They want you to download an app onto your smartphone, and they don't want you to ring the AA. In other words, you know, if you've broken down, they don't want you to actually ring them. They want you to go online, and then you can click in online that you've got a problem. They can pick you up by GPS, and you can follow the progress online on your smartphone. Yeah, I mean, it all sounds good, and I can see all the attributes to it, but there's a number of issues. When you get a silly old guy like me who doesn't really have a smartphone, because I've got an old BlackBerry here. Look at it. You can see I've had it for a few years, and it's actually got tape on it to hold it together. But it's a great phone, and I've had it for many, many years, so it won't actually do an app, so that doesn't help me. But even then, I think to myself, you know, going online with an app, when you really just sometimes want to ask a question, because when I rang the AA, all I really wanted to say to them was, look, I've tried to start the car, jump start it, and it doesn't work. Is there something you can do to help me? Because actually I've got home start, and does that help? I just wanted to ask. I feel an idiot actually ringing them for a simple thing. But then on the other hand, I suppose, as we've been paying an annual subscription for the last 30 years, and we've only used them maybe 3 times, I suppose, well, let's use them. Anyway, so I'll just sit here and wait. I didn't want to call you. I tried jump starting it, but I couldn't get anything. Show you.
You're spoiled with too many toys.
I know. Got too many cars. Well, let's hang on. What do I do with the keys? But funny enough, I was going to take this for a drive today. It was dry. I'll just see. Yeah, but every time I jumped it, it didn't change. It was exactly the same. And I tried a little power pack as well. That didn't work.
You've got one of them little ones, have you?
Yeah. I don't know what I was doing wrong.
No, I mean, you've only got 11 volts in that battery, so clearly it's a. So that was the leads you were using, yeah?
Yeah, I was using those leads from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've used it before, you know, with other cars.
Yeah. I mean, a car like this this may not be enough power. You know, this may.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking,
you know,
but yeah,
we may have to put everything on it.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Just give it a whirl now.
Yeah. Oh God! All right. Right, so move that out of the way.
The question really, what has taken this battery down to this?
Well, to be fair, I haven't used it much.
Right.
It went for a service, and it drove to Cambridge for a service in middle of January.
Right.
It's come back. Haven't used it since.
Right.
And I haven't used it for about 2 months, much before that. And I was going to take it out for a drive for that very reason.
Yeah. Do you have power here? Is there an option to put a charge?
I'm gonna. Yeah, I will have to do that. Yeah.
So the option, obviously, get that battery.
Yeah, that's what I'll do.
You know, you probably haven't got enough time to drive this car to the amount that it would need to recharge it.
Recharge it. I know. I'm going to put it on. I'll put it on charge. I'll take it out probably for a spin now, and I'll get a charger out here and leave it on charge.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the.
Yeah.
I can get some idea what that battery's like in the moment, but not, you know.
Well, as long as it's putting some charge back in it.
Yeah, so I just want to see how it is doing. You know, we can gauge it from.
Because the Aventine was totally dead.
Yeah.
That went, and then I just got a new battery.
Yeah. That battery's not taken, although it's charging.
Yeah.
It says it's charging at 13 volts. From an amperage point of view, it's very low. You know, I mean, there's only 2 amps going back into that battery.
So the battery's not that good.
So the battery's not taking a charge at this particular moment.
Yeah, so in other words,
that is like a sulfated battery.
Yeah, so I need a new battery. Because frankly, I don't understand why it shouldn't really have been dead.
No.
Not from you know. No. So the answer is to get a new battery.
Is the battery still here? You took off that one, is it?
What?
Is that one? You've still got the scrap battery come off that one?
No.
No. So I'm just seeing whether that was whether that was the same. Whether that would pick up at all. But
no, that battery they tested it so it was completely dead. So what is it doing? Anything?
It's 4 amps now, so it's got. I'll just switch it off now, and we'll just see what we have got.
Heater's working.
Nice.
Under normal circumstances, for the amount of time it's been running, a car should restart again, shouldn't it?
I'm just going to see what the battery's. I mean, it's 12.2 now, so it's gone up a small amount. But obviously 12.8 is a fully charged battery, what you want to see. I'll just see how good this battery is. The sticker's gone off it to say the spec, but it's going to be around about an 850 battery, something like that.
See, I've had this car about 2 years, so
and you've never changed it?
And I've never changed it, so I don't know how old the battery is or what you know.
No.
It's probably not had a lot of use even before I had it.
No. This will give us some idea. I should restart on that now. Just see what, because it's coming in at 550, so just give it a whirl now.
Shall I try it?
Yeah, give it a whirl. So that's still a long way off being charged.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you'd still be better off charging that battery rather than driving it.
Yeah, okay. I'll do that. Yeah, I'll get a battery charger around here.
Are you going to build yourself up for all your cars in, are you?
Yeah. This is a lovely car.
Yeah.
And it's criminal. They're not worth any money.
No. No, they're not.
I mean, it's only done less than 60,000. Yeah, I just want to look after it.
Yeah.
But I haven't been driving it in the mud, really. There's a bit of mud on it, so I didn't want to get it all filthy.
No.
Alright, so I'll put it on charge.
Yeah, I would.
Yep.
That's still a long way
So,
off being.
yeah, I'll turn it off then. I'm sorry I dragged you out. It took up your
Don't worry
time.
about that.
You know.
Don't worry about that. You could have only had a poor connection on one of those two vehicles, couldn't you?
Yeah,
You know,
I just really couldn't realise why I couldn't get it going. I tried one of these charger things,
Yeah.
but obviously that wasn't enough
You
power.
do end up with a bit of voltage drop, you know, with these. So
Yeah.
anything that might have worked if you'd left that running for 10 minutes,
Maybe,
and put a bit more back into it. But,
I'll get a battery charger around it this afternoon and I'll leave it on.
yeah, I would, because I say that otherwise that'll end up not being fully charged, and that will be the death of that battery. You know,
Yeah.
if you get it charged up, that'll be okay.
Right, well, so there was nothing wrong with it, except the fact the battery's flat, and perhaps I should get a new battery, but I'm going to do what he suggests, obviously, put it on charge. So let's get a charger. Right, well, after all that with the Jag and showing this guy from the AA my cars, I decided to start the scooter up. Oh, I love this scooter. So I'm going to start it up, if I can get it going. The problem I got with it is the choke won't stay out. When you pull the lever out, from I remember when I had one of these as a teenager, you pulled them out and turned it, and it held it. Yeah, so this is the choke, and see, if you pull it out, it just pops back again. Now, as I remember them, you used to turn them, and they used to stay out, but this one doesn't. So anyway, I've got to jam something in there every time to hold it out. afternoon. It started off, I was just going to have a little drive in my Jag, and ended up doing a tour of all my cars with the AA guy, finding out there's nothing wrong with the Jag other than the battery's flat and I couldn't get it started. And then I ended up starting up my little scooter. Yeah. Oh, love this scooter, it's fabulous. Oh, I can't believe that when I was 16 I had one like this, and I used to ride everywhere on it. You're fearless when you're 16, that's the thing. But when you get older, you're not. It's a bit of a trial, but that's a really nice bike. But then, you know, the truth is, like the AA guy said to me, his first reaction was, I'd have it in my house, he said. And that's my reaction. Really, this belongs in my front room, in the lounge. I want to sit on it when I'm watching television. This wants to be my throne, really. This is, and it's beautiful. But I every time I tell my wife that, she just doesn't agree with me. She doesn't see it, doesn't get it. Still, I can't complain. Anyway. Right, well, it's a nice morning. A bit cold. The Jag's been on charge all night. And what have we got here? Ah, well, that's interesting. It's flickering up and down a bit. I think what we'll do is we'll take it off, start it up, and see how it goes. Right, well, that's everything back, and apart from all the stuff in the boot, it's looking quite neat. So I think what we'll do is we'll see how it goes. Never used to worry starting this car, and now I'm going to be apprehensive every time I turn the key. Oh well, here we go. Oh, thank God for that. So I think we'll take this out somewhere. Right, well, the car is going really well. Obviously there's nothing wrong with the car. I mean, it just had a major service and everything else. But of course the battery is part of the car, and that wasn't very good, as we saw. And it was unexpected, because I certainly didn't expect a battery problem, to be honest with you. I've never had a problem yet with this car, and it had just come back from a service, blah blah blah, but of course I don't use it enough. Anyway, so I'm just going to take it around the block a bit and just see how it feels. I don't know why, because it feels alright. The question is whether the battery is any good at all, or whether it's going to hold the charge now. It seems to be fully charged, so I think what we'll do is probably just leave it for a bit, see how it runs, and not buy a new battery unless I really have to. When you go from car to car, especially the cars I've got, which are all so different, at different ages, it takes a little while to become accustomed to the particular car. This car certainly is different from the Volvo. The Volvo's got that belt drive automatic, which is very slow on take-up. This one is very direct, and you know, on any loose ground it's very easy just to get wheel spin without even thinking. I'm hardly touching the throttle actually, it just belts away. Whereas the Volvo, you really have to floor it, and this, well, you shouldn't really, you should gradually do it, but there is also a lag for the belts to position themselves. This car, as soon as you do it, you've got a kick in your backside, really. Certainly, I've got a lot more of a sporty feel because of that, and quite enjoyable to drive. I mean, that was pulling away quite well there, but I was hardly touching the throttle. Whereas in the Volvo, or even my Mercedes, to be honest, I would have been giving it a bit more welly. So you really have to learn to be a bit more gentle with this car. The steering is very responsive as well. Of course, when you're driving the, well, the Dodge, but if you're driving the Citroens and all these cars, they're very forgiving, the steering, whereas this car is a lot more accurate. Funny, I've said this before, but I've got two cars, and there's not many cars ever been produced that have got a single wiper, and I've had three. So there's this one, the Jag, this particular Jag anyway, it's got one single wiper. My Mercedes, of course, has. The difference being, though, that this one is just a complete sweep, whereas the Jag, the Mercedes lifts itself up, goes across, and then comes down. It's got a cam in it. But I also had a Fiat Panda, the first boxy Fiat Panda, and that had a single wiper. So it's three cars, and I can only think of those three cars actually that had a single wiper, to my knowledge. There must have been others, I guess. But so I've got two at the moment, just by chance, and I had the other one. But the this car drives really lovely, and it feels nice, and it rides really well. It's comfortable yet sporty. It feels very firm over bumps. When you go over speed bumps and everything, you know, it's very tight and taut, the car, so it feels kind of new actually. Whether it's down to the car or just the fact that this one is particularly, well, I think a good example. Mind you, all the controls are very tight and good. All the indicator stops and everything works like they're brand new. So, though this is a fairly long car, it's fairly big, it's got a very good turning circle. A lot of the length is hangover. Obviously on these larger cars, people don't seem to, or some people I speak to don't seem to understand that the distance between the front wheel and the back wheel is kind of the same on most cars. It's just that the overhang is different. So this car, if you took away the overhang on the front and the back, you'd have a much smaller car. So it maneuvers, in fact, from a maneuverability point of view, the same as a much smaller car. It's just that if you're parking or anything, obviously you've got a bigger car to deal with in terms of getting into a small space. But when you're driving on the road, you know, its handling is the same as a small car, really. That's what's surprising. People don't understand. And if you look at some of the old American cars, which the media like to call, you know, land yachts or barges, if you look at the cab and where the wheels sit in relation to it, the cabin, and take away that big overhang at the back and the big overhang at the front, you're left with a very small car, relatively speaking. Not a lot different to the European cars at the time, or sort of the size of cars they're building now. So these cars were not as difficult to drive once you're in them. And that's why when you're driving them, they don't feel that big. But this particular car's got a very good turning circle, really. It's always interesting, I think, that it always strikes me that when you've got a battery like this car, the battery's in the back of the car, in the boot, how much power is lost in the cable with the power going from the battery to the front where it's obviously needed. You know, is there power loss involved? So does the battery have to be a little bit more powerful to compensate for that? I don't know. Don't know the answer to that. It always strikes me a bit odd, really, that the battery is so far away from the engine or from the electronic controls that it feeds. Obviously, as well, you've got that cable, a live cable, or you know, power running through the chassis. And has that got any effect? Is that a design factor that has to be taken into account? I guess it has. This car is so quiet. When you're sitting at the lights, you sort of panic for a second. The engine's died. And of course, that's the result of driving cars like 2CV and everything, and older cars where you can hear the engine constantly. And when you don't hear the engine, you know damn well that car's stalled. But hopefully it's not the case with this. Right, well, that was an enjoyable little drive. Right, well, it's snowing out there, and even my dog doesn't like that. Look at it. I don't think I'll be driving any of my old cars today, so I think we'll call it the end of the video. Oh no, that's not it. I can't stand it. I'm a kid at heart. Look, I've got this four-wheel drive Mercedes and there's some snow, and I'm gonna drive it. Okay, let's start. Right, put it on defrost. Put the rear wiper on. There we go. Right. Okay. See if we can induce the four-wheel drive on the snow. So when the four-wheel drive comes on, the orange or the yellow light in the middle will come on. There we go. Ooh, that's pretty good fun, isn't it? Right. Well, that's working fine. Oh, whenever I do these videos and things are working fine, something goes wrong. But that is working fine, so we'll try it in reverse. Alright, we're in reverse. Yep. And I'll tell you what, this car is really, really good. I mean, this is not a four-wheel drive system like Audi's got, for example. Well, I've got road tires on here, obviously, and I'm on a slope. And what I'm going to do now is try and pull away. Now, an ordinary car, whether it's front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, it's going to struggle on grass, on a slope going uphill, in snow, and it's going to spin, it's not going to move, or it's going to snake from side to side, especially a rear wheel. Now this one, I'm saying this should go straight as a die, once that four-wheel drive kicks in. Look at that. That is quite amazing. It's quite amazing. I think what we'll do is we'll have to put the camera outside and film this. Right, well, that was pretty impressive. This car is amazing. You know, I put my foot down, and instead of the car, you know, spinning and sliding all over the place, it basically just pulled me. I mean, it was just amazing. And you imagine what that would be like if I had, you know, snow tires or something. That's really, really good car. So.